Peace, y'all. So it only takes me like an hour to set up for these things. Alright, so I think we finally got everything ready. Welcome back to the channel. Peace and love. I hope that you all are well this rising. So today's gonna be kind of a different video. I want to talk to you guys about spirituality. I want to talk to you guys about my personal spiritual journey. Today's video is going to be, I'm going to be talking about the New Age spirituality versus Christianity versus Kemetic spirituality, and kind of my journey, through all of that. I've been kind of wanting to make a video like this for some time now, and just talking to you guys about how I kind of got where I am, like how I kind of started. So I'm going to cover all of that. I'm going to cover, so if you're interested in any of that, stay tuned. Alright, so first I want to talk to you guys about my personal spiritual journey, or my journey into spirituality. I kind of want to talk about how I kind of got started, what led me here, and yeah, all of that. And then I want to talk about how I kind of went into starting to want to learn more about my ancestors and Kemetic history, and how that kind of led me into mildly Kemeticism, but then I kind of got swifted away into New Age spirituality. Okay, so first off, hold on, y'all, I'm trying to get this together. Okay, so first off, so as most of us, we started out in the church. We started out in reading the Bible, knowing about Jesus Christ. You know, I was kind of like, I wouldn't say a hardcore Christian, but I was definitely I till this day I probably can't remember a single, I can't verbatim recite a Bible verse to you, except probably not maybe John 3:16 or Proverbs 31. I think. No, I can't even recite that. I just know it's something about a virtuous woman. I used to be far above rubies or something like that. But I started out in the church, and my real reason for kind of, I never felt home there. You know, it's always kind of an anxiety going there, going into the church, being forced to have to do praise and worship. Like, I remember, you know, it came to a point where when my mother was really in it, like we had to go into praise and worship every New Year. Like I was forced to do praise and worship, and I was like, this just doesn't feel natural to me. This doesn't feel like calling out and calling on Jesus, and you know, it doesn't feel right to me. So my main reason for kind of slipping away from religion was my desire, my thirst for answers. Like I'm always looking for answers. I'm very inquisitive. I'm very curious. I'm always questioning. So I always have this innate, like, kind of desire to, like, know more, to find out more, like, what's next. So I was often going to the Bible. I was often going to the Bible to try to find answers, to try to find what I was looking for, to find comfort, to find confirmation, to find guidance, to find advice. And it was like I would always go to the Bible, and it would never be in alignment for me. Like it would never bring me the fulfillment that I was looking for. And it would make me like angry, and I was like, well, am I not looking in the right places? Like this is a pretty big Bible. I feel like there, you know, there's a lot of verses, there's a lot of Jesus said, there's a lot of things I read, there's a lot of, like, you know, different apostles or ministers or whatever, you know, and it's like a lot of people speaking in this book, but nothing's reaching out to me. So something's not right here. And then on top of that, as I am transitioning away from religion, I'm also transitioning away from systematic shit, like just how the system works. Just um, realizing and thinking about how the structure is, how the people up top are 9 times out of 10 the ones making the rules, but have no fucking clue what really like is going on, or what really needs to be done, or what really needs to be eradicated in order to fix some shit. So in my process of trying to like of kind of rebelling Capricorn energy of kind of like fuck the system, just kind of not wanting to do too much, like um as far as doing what everybody else did. I tried to make it I began to want to make it very intentional to try to do the opposite of shit that everybody else did. So um and my kind of stand on that was to be anti-religious and to follow. I need to go back to where my ancestors were, because and it was also because of a time where like my people, like my culture, like the news and the media was continuously like perpetuating these stereotypes of my culture, and like just really only teaching us a very limited amount of information. And I'm like, I'm so tired. And that was like a big thing. I was like, I'm so tired of hearing the same stories about my people. Like, there's no fucking way that I am. And my only ancestors were slaves. Like my only ancestors were slaves. Like all these slave movies and all these slave books and all this talk about Black Lives Matter and police brutality and our history of dealing with the police, and then uncovering so much truth about about our people and actually what we went through, what our ancestors went. And it's like there's so much history of rebellion. There's so much history of kind of trying to fight against the system, of trying to of the people trying to of our people trying to fight for what we deserve, or trying to prove for what we deserve. And I was like, there's no way that this is our only history. So let's go deeper. There has to be deeper. I mean, for facts, there's deeper, because there's Africa. There's a whole continent of history that is unbeknownst to us, because we were stripped, we were forced, we were told that we were stupid and dumb, and that we weren't allowed to be connected to our roots. We were so dismantled from our roots that we have no idea who we are. We have no true idea who we are. And so I just began to dig and dig and dig and dig. And a lot of it came, my first kind of journey was like into learning more about, just blackness in general, learning about blackness in general in college. And then when that kind of started to get redundant, I went back even further. And of course, we all know about our ancestors in Egypt, and how the real names of Egypt is Kemet, and how the Kemet is actually the name. It was represented not only of the soil of the land, but mostly about the people. It was about the skin, about the richness, the melanin, the richness of our people, about the power that the melanated being held. And this kind of led me into my journey of Kemeticism, or learning about Kemet. And I don't necessarily, because when I looked up what Kemeticism is, or Kemetic spirituality is, they put it under this kind of umbrella term of it being like a form of neo-paganism, or a religious that appeals more to people of African descent, because it talks about the magical practices and traditions of Africa, and it's not necessarily. I would say semantics, but I feel like it's not necessarily. I personally don't relate to it as a religion necessarily, but again, semantics, because I feel religion is fear-based. I feel like religion is fear-based. I feel like religion is illusion-based. It's very very restrictive, and whereas spirituality is kind of just wholeness, oneness, soul learning, understanding your soul. I feel like that's what spirituality is. I feel like religion kind of puts you in this kind of one-track minded category, whereas spirituality allows you to kind of be more open-minded. Like, I feel like religion or like Christianity is very closed-minded. It's like, I feel like it's like a lot of no's, like a lot of you can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. And it's like, yes, we do have laws in Kemeticism as we talk about Mayat and the principles of balance and harmony, and everything is Mayat because everything comes into order from disorder, right? So it just all kind of goes into going back to studying where everything kind of rooted and started and was founded. So that's what kind of led me onto my spiritual journey into Kemeticism. And then in learning about that, I kind of, where I went wrong was trying to, in the process of learning about my ancestors and understanding that there are three main principles of living amongst their other things. We'll get into that. And this might have to be a couple parts video because I feel like it's gonna be really long. But in that understanding that, sorry y'all, I lost my train of thought. So religion is just like really restrictive and closed-minded, and personally it just wasn't really beneficial for me to my journey. So as I was saying, as a fault, it was my fault, the fault of me, as I started to learn about my ancestors and I started to go back and really delve into their history and who they are and their practices, because their three main practices were in Kemet. The foundation of their belief system revolved around three main principles: astrology, alchemy, and magic. They believed that astrology, the movements and the alignments of the stars and of the planets, was on purpose. It had intention. It was very intentional there, that each movement, that each alignment, that each star had a purpose, and it ultimately influenced every part of us, as we know. So when we look at Kemeticism and we start to understand, and we start to and I focus so much on Kemeticism because it is the oldest form of spirituality. It is the oldest form of religion. Okay, it is where everything is learned. It is where, even when we look at our Greek philosophies, I feel like I'm going off on tangents, but when we look at the Greek philosophers, 99% of the information that, who was it, Socrates, Alexander, a lot of Greek philosophers. There was somebody in here, I don't know why I'm saying Aristotle, got all their knowledge from Egypt. Okay, and that's why I go back so far into Egypt, because even if we go because I even went even further back into that and talking about like the Anunnaki and stuff, but that's that's way back. Okay, so but the idea of me trying to go back and fetch this knowledge is Sankofa. Is Sankofa divine? Is trying to go back and fetch that divine knowledge. All right. So our ancestors believe astrology. Astrology, that everything in the universe had a purpose, had a very specific purpose to not only the things in nature, but to the things in our bodies, like not only as such as our circadian rhythms and the way that we wake and when we sleep and how much melatonin or serotonin that our body produces. It functions our organs, and literally every organ on our body. Your skin is the largest organ on your body. Everything is affected by planetary alignments. Okay, so if we look at all the constellations, which are the zodiacs, they all, when they go into different houses or chamber, I don't know why I just said chambers, go into different houses, or what's the other sign, or aspects, I suppose. They all do something. They all have an effect on us. As we all know, the energy of the moons have effect on us, as our bodies are also made up of water. All right, so everything just has a direct reflection. Their principle was as above, so below, as within, so without. Their ultimate, I feel like I'm starting with Kemetic. This is good. Okay. I feel like I'm explaining Kemeticism or Kemetic spirituality first, and I kind of wanted to explain that last, but it is what it is. We'll let it flow. But they believe that everything, kind of their main principles, was founded that that you are ultimately source. Everything that you need to connect with God, or to connect with God in order to get your prayers or your manifestations answered, you have the ability to go within and seek that enlightenment. Like, you have the ability to hear those answers through you first. Why? Because especially as a melanated being, as you are the direct lineage of source, of the sun, you are the creator. You are a seed. You are a seed of the source. So say you have a child, you have children, right? That is your seed. That is your creation. That is what you have created and you put out into the world. That would be God. You are the seed. You are, for people who read the Bible, they say God says he made man in his image, correct? Well, if he did so, then you by nature should be God form, all right? If you guys want to know more, and this is a universal principle, but I'm more specifically talking to my my melanated people, my people from Africa, of African descent, all right? So that you can go back and fetch the knowledge of your roots. If you're looking to seek and looking for a belief system, or looking to find your power or find your faith in understanding and truly understanding. And I also feel like because this idea of understanding our roots and our culture is very important, not only because it was stripped from us, but because we've been lied to, we've been deceived, we've been raped, we've been like murdered, like we've been traumatized. And it's like, if anything, we deserve to know that we are so much more than that. Like, we deserve to know that we used to run shit. Like, we are source, period. So that's just where this kind of led, and this is kind of why I in my journey to learning Kemeticism, I kind of drifted off into New Age because it's like once you find that kind of power, or you kind of understand that kind of power about yourself, it's kind of like, I know who I am. It's like, damn, I really know who I am, though. You know, like my ancestors, like, even if I don't know everything, because the idea of this journey here on earth, the whole idea of this experience, of this lesson, is to learn and to ascend ultimately, so that, because I feel so, because I feel like there's also a scripture about, you know, once that you get, like, once God experiences himself, he can go back to source. Like, he can go back to himself. Like, this could be also mythology, but like, we all have our stories that have, you know, ascended through the generations. So it could be that as God put himself out into the universe in different forms, he wanted to experience different facets of life. So this is what this human existence, this human experience is. And once you achieve that total kind of experience of the lowest kind of forms of you experience all the levels of vibrations, honestly, all the frequencies of what it feels like to be at your lowest low, to be at the at your most calcified state. All right, this is where the alchemy comes in. At your most calcified state, at your most uh sheepish state, at your most illusion-esque, a most fear-based state. All right, because that's the foundation. Like, if you, at the roots, if you are fearful, you can't manifest anything else. All right, so as we go into that, as we try to alchemize, and this is just not the process of forming like a gold, you know, whatever they call, you know what alchemy is, turning what is it, like a copper substance into a gold one. But this is also like spiritually, right? Like turning a calcified temple, body, vessel, where you're eating junk foods and consuming, like what you consume, consumption, 99.9% determines your state, what you consume. And that's not only what you intake, like in food, but what you intake socially, physically, mentally, like on the media, like how much news you watch, like how much you interact with social media. I'm gonna do a whole nother video about this whole popularizing toxicity. Like, this is a real life trend that's like shocking the fuck out of me. Like, my friend sent me a video, and it was like, they were like, hashtags were toxic queens. Like, fuck no, how dare you combine those? All right, those are such polar opposites. Like, hell no. And then like promoting stay toxic, and it's like, and I'm seeing more and more of these videos coming out. I saw one by Kevin Wesley the other day. It was just like these women giving advice about allowing toxic behavior, or like making toxic behavior cute. Like, ain't nothing cute about about fucking with a nigga mental health. Like, ain't nothing cute about playing games. Ain't nothing. And it's like, that's why our culture is so traumatized. And it's that idea of turning that dumb minded, toxic mindedness, that sheepish minded, that trendiness, the trendiness, and that's why I'm kind of moving out of the new age, because it's so trendy and it's becoming in itself very toxic, because it's very egoic. It's very it's just it's too trendy. It's honestly, it's too trendy, and it's like it's almost like anybody and everybody can classify, title themselves, as this kind of person. And I'm very much at fault for it. I'm very, very much at fault for it. Y'all know I had a whole other page, but you can label yourself as this kind of psychic, or this reader, tarot reader, or this medium, and it's like, and I was definitely warned about it. I was like, 'cause anybody can read tarot, and it's not necessarily like that tarot is bad, because again, it's been so modernized and westernized, and the ancient knowledge of it has been stripped away. Like, the original use of the card deck was the regular, like, card deck, playing deck, with the spades and the clubs and the hearts, all that shit, and the kings and queens and the jack. They meant shit, and they meant and the colors, the red and the black, they meant the active and the passive principles of the masculine and the feminine. Excuse me. It represented the polarity of the masculine and feminine principles. Excuse me. The actual suits of the cards, like, there's 12 suits in the deck. They represent the planets, the 12 zodiacs. All right, so all of it all had like correlation. It's all with intention. It was all very intentional. With our ancestors, everything had intent, whereas today everything is kind of just like, because it's popular, because it's the thing to do, because what everybody else is doing, because it looks cute, because modern spirituality does look very cute, looks very trendy, it looks very like, namaste, like, oh, like, those are good vibes, good vibes. And it's like the language, oh my god, the language around this kind of, around this culture is really like energy, like everybody's just using this word, and it's like just so loosely, and it's like, damn, I don't even want to use those words. Like, I want it to be like, because it's more about, because it's like we're losing the understanding of the word energy, you know what I'm saying? Like the magic, like because your energy is your currency, like your energy is your coinage, is how you make, it's really how you make your money. Okay, that's really your exchange of energy is what is of value. Okay, so, and that's what people pay you for your energy, whether it's in actual monetary value, or it's in time or attention, or whatever it is. So what was I saying? Damn, y'all, I did it again. I don't know what I was talking about. Alright, but I wanted to talk about because specifically what New Age spirituality is, like, kind of the definition of it is, and kind of what it encompasses. Because again, all of this, like, any type of spirituality is like going to be African spirituality, because everything has been derived from Africa first. Everything that we know today has started from African culture, simply because it was the first. Okay, but by definition, New Age spirituality is characterized by occult practices such as divination, tarot, magical potions and incantations, numerology, and astrology. Practitioners function as mediums, channel spirit guides and angels. Many explore Wicca, yoga, and shamanism. New Agers have also incorporated and adapted doctrines from Hinduism and Buddhist sources, including reincarnation, karma, and the chakras. Common tools synthesize music, holistic medicine, incense, aromatherapy, candles, crystals, and health food. So, like I said, all of this, like I already said, is what our ancestors kind of believed. All of this has kind of been like, but because it has been modernized, it's kind of combined so many different, like, it just kind of pulls so many different things together, or so many interpretations together. It kind of almost kind of discredits the information. And it's almost like I could apply that same principle. It's like, well, I can apply that same principle to Christianity or Kemeticism. Like there's so many people that's reinterpreted the Bible. There's so many different versions of the Bible, which is why I personally don't trust it. And two, because it was written by people that don't look like me and people who have oppressed me or oppressed my ancestors. Okay, so oppressed or discriminated against me or my ancestors. So that, but then if you apply it to like Kemeticism, it's like, well, so we don't actually know, like so much of that knowledge has been stripped and destroyed and changed. Like, do we even know like that this is the truth? And it's like, well, yes, also because our ancestors actually left behind artifacts, actually left behind proof, actually left behind those great wonders of the world. They have like there's certain energy point, like purposeful energy points, such as the pyramids of Giza. There's another one in Mexico. I can't remember what it's called, but there's different energy centers all around the world that are intentionally aligned. And I specifically know that the pyramids of Giza are the exact coordinates of the diameter of the sun. It is also the exact number of the frequency or the vibration of music, the original tone of music that vibrates from the heart chakra. Many of us don't know that the vibrations or the frequency or the hertz of music has been changed. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, just listening to music on the radio today, that's obvious, but that is what it is. All right. But as I mentioned with these new age practices, and as I talked about with Kemeticism, one of the main principles was magic. And in my quest to find that magic, in my quest to find what that looked like, because like I said, tarot was a part of that, and divination is a part of that. But the way that our ancestors were diviners, they were kind of initiated into that. They were kind of it wasn't just something that anybody could pick up and do. It was kind of like a birthright to you. All right. And many of us don't uncover that birthright unless we know someone, okay, and that can kind of guide us into that kind of light, can initiate us into that kind of light. And in my quest to find that, that magic, that what that looked like, I got slipped into that new age, that trendy reading tarot, reading zodiac signs, and then in the while feeling like, ugh, like I'm so tired of, like, I know there's more. I want to do something different, but what this algorithm is pushing, what this media is trying to portray, what this culture, this toxic culture is trying to keep like in this low vibrational mindset, it's like I can't continue to talk about this same stuff. Like, I can't continue to dwell on the same stuff. Like, I can put a couple of these videos out, for people who really need to hear this message, because sometimes, like, like relationships and stuff, and like because it's like, even with me trying to incorporate, like, get down to the nitty gritty of like your signs and your houses and why all of this is, it's like 9 times out of 10 you ain't listening to that shit. You just want to know the juicy details, the gossip, and it's like that is the toxic. That's the shit I don't like. That's that shit I don't like. So yeah. Um. So I'm that's all gone. I'm definitely trying to get away from that. I won't say I won't ever do a reading again, but probably I never liked specifically tarot cards. I never liked tarot. I never liked reading tarot. I always preferred oracle messages. I always preferred reading oracle cards because it just felt more interpretive to me. Like, if I was, because our ancestors, they did readings with, I want to take more lessons in classes on reading, like the bones, or like reading feathers or smoke. They used to read smoke, okay, throwing stones and rocks. Our ancestors used these kind of things, cowrie shells, for divination. So these kind of things aren't popularized, thank God. All right, because then it's taking the value and the authenticity out of the culture. Okay, so some of the dangers, I want to talk a little bit about some of the dangers of New Age before I talk about do I want to talk about this stuff? No, I was gonna talk to you guys about some other stuff, like revolving Christianity and such. But I may tap into it a little bit, but I'm gonna leave a link to a blog post for you guys to get a little bit more understanding on that. But I want to talk about the dangers, because I've already said a little bit about the dangers of New Age spirituality, or if you go by like definition of what New Age spirituality is. So in my looking back, I definitely feel like it's definitely, it focuses a lot on individual and self-fulfillment, but very selfishly. Like, it's almost becoming like, because it's being portrayed like instant gratification, and that's the thing. That's the biggest deception of New Age, is the instant gratification. Everything has to be so instantly. Everything has to be so instantly gratifying in this culture. It's like, if I don't get it right now, if I don't get it fast, then it's not worth anything. Then it's not like, or like I'm frustrated and then I'm angry and it's like, it's not worth my time. I don't know what this is, but it was just very like, very me, all right. Very me, and it's almost like a lot of people. I mean, I did in a sense, because like I told you, I was like, once you uncover who you really are, like you really understand who you are, or you have that confidence and you have that kind of knowledge to back it up. It's just like, that's a different kind of like understanding. But I also felt like in New Age specifically, it's like, in so much and trying to keep up with the trend, it's a lot of ego involved, and thinking that your perspective is higher than someone else, or your abilities, or just anything is higher than someone else. Like, and it's a lot of manifesting shit for self, but materially, like manifesting for self things that look good on the outside, if that makes sense. So And so I already talked about a whole lot of this already, but so I can get off of this notebook. But I wanted to talk about real quick with the New Age, because I saw a video, and she specifically talked about like manifestation. When I looked at these New Age to Jesus videos, they specifically talk about like astrology and like angel numbers, and then like manifestation and meditation and mediumship. Okay, so like I said, all of this type of spirituality even exists in Christianity. All of this spirituality comes from African spirituality. Manifestation. What is a manifestation? How do you manifest? In any culture. All right, how do you manifest? You pray. Manifestation is simply a prayer. It's a chemical thought that you send up to the universe. You are in alignment. You are sending a signal to the universe, to God, to source, so whoever it is that you are connecting with, in order to send a request. All right, and 9 times out of 10, that request is either accepted or denied, depending on the intention behind the request and the gratefulness, the give thanks, the ability to give thanks for whatever the outcome may be. Not because you are lacking, you are not requesting because you feel like you are in lack, or because you are in ego and feel like you somehow deserve this. You are asking because you are in alignment. You are thankful for everything else. You are asking because if this comes or doesn't come, either way, you are good. All right. So that is the manifestation part. If you are manifesting in Christianity, how you manifest, you're sending prayers, you're praying, you're getting on your knees and you're praying. That's in any form of, in any culture, that's a prayer. That's how you manifest. That's how you communicate with your source, with your divine, with your inner source. That's how you, if you namaste, like however you do it, you are centering, you are quieting that space so that you can hear source. And yes, I pointed to the third eye because this is how you hear, you get your downloads. Okay. So yes, and then that's the meditation. Even in the meditation, in Christianity, how do you meditate? Through praise and worship. How do you connect? How do you connect with God? How do you connect with Jesus? Through praise and worship. You go to the altar. And you get on your knees and you pray. All right, and you speak in tongues. And you speak in different languages and you shout. All right, all of those are forms of meditation. All right, or manifestation. Right, and then we talk about who are mediums. If we act as mediums, people are mediums who relay messages from spiritual realms to the physical realms. Psychics who relay spiritual messages from the spiritual realm to the physical realm. All right, by any form in Christianity, these people are called pastors or preachers or ministers or apostles or disciples. All right, they go by many different names in many different cultures, but they all come from one source, one original source. And I simply say that, and it's like, for those of you who strongly believe in the Bible, like I have no issue with you believing in the Bible. I have no issue with you believing the doctrines of the Bible, if that is your faith, if that is your culture, simply because you are you very well could be a generation, a lineage of that time period. That may be where your lineage begins. For me, for my culture, melanated people of African descent, and well, it's like, and for Black people, are like, well, I don't have any African, I don't have any ties to African, to Africa. Yes, I am African American, but I'm also Nigerian. I don't know my Nigerian dad, but I always wonder why I have such a calling, a wish to learn about Africa. Is because it's in my blood. I mean, I can't. Not everybody's from Africa. I I mean, like 9 times out of 10, if you're black, like, fuck it, Mac. Okay, so you're gonna have some, history, some lineage there, okay? But, so yes. All of that comes from that. So, let me see where we at. 11. So yeah, I'm actually not about to get into all of this. I feel like we're already, there's a lot more information. I'll just leave a link to this blog post. It's just an in-depth kind of read into the truth about Ankhet season, or flood season, and just kind of history of a little bit of comparison about the myth stories or creation stories, this resemblance of Kemetic deities and the Christianity deities. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and click out the link, or you can just visit my website at sankofa.com. My whole site, as well as my the Black-owned plant-based directory, it's all being revamped, redesigned, so that is set to launch during the equinox. All right, so stay tuned for that. I'm very excited to do all of that. I've been working on some shit for y'all, so please stay tuned for that. And please don't forget to like, share, comment this video. Let me know, you guys. Let me know your thoughts about this. I'm glad I kind of got this video out because I've been kind of wanting to talk about all of this kind of stuff for a long time. I will likely come back and do another video and do more, get more in depth with other things, but I kind of want to just get that information out to you guys as much as possible. So yeah, that's all I have for you, flowers. Please make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you beautiful flowers in the next video. Peace and love, y'all. Ashe.